Always a surprise. That's right. We've had that.
His is. Really, we need to throw this chair out. Just as long as I don't fall straight back.
Whenever you're ready, Mr. DeMille. Is
Oh.
everybody here? Oh, you want to wait a minute? It's up to you. You did.
No.
I don't care. Wait. Meeting to work session for Northwood City Council. March 21st of 2023. This meeting was properly advertised in accordance with Public Law 1975, Chapter 231, and was presented in the city on January 7th of this year. May I have a flag led by Mayor Kowski?
Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated.
Roll call, Mrs. Tucci. Here. Mrs. Parkanio.
Here.
Mr. Lee.
Here.
Mr. Lee.
Here.
Mr. Notaro.
Here.
Mr. Smith.
Here.
Mr. Palestina.
Here.
Mr. Chow.
Here.
Mr. President.
Thank you. See, we have great attendance again tonight for a wonderful occasion. I will turn the floor over tonight, right now to the mayor for the swearing in.
Thank you, sir.
On the agenda is the oath of office for Patrolman Malachi Valentine. And Malachi is going to be accompanied by his father Dana, his mom Raquel, and his girlfriend Juliana.
Who's this young lady? Your girlfriend. 28 with the effect, right? That's your girlfriend? No, I'm talking about her. That was good. That was smooth.
Right hand up. Right. There we go. All right, come on up here. And who's your girlfriend? Juliana. Juliana, you're a lucky person. All right, let's face the other way here. We'll pick this photo here. All right. Now, if I please repeat after me. I, Malachi Valentine. I, Malachi Valentine. Do solemnly swear. Solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States. I will support the Constitution of the United States. And the Constitution of the State of New Jersey. And the Constitution of the State of New Jersey. And that I will bear true faith. And I will bear true faith. And allegiance to the same. And allegiance to the same. And to the governments. Established in the United States. Established in the United States. And in the state. And in the state. On the authority of the people. On the authority of the people. And I will faithfully. Impartially. And perform all the duties. Of patrolman of the city of Northfield. New Jersey. According to the best of my ability. So help me God. Congratulations. We'll do his oath and then we'll get back up here. Thank you.
Next is Thomas Brendan O'Brien, and Brendan is accompanied by his family himself, his dad James, his mom Sharon,
No, I'm not.
and his girlfriend Carly. If you'd all like to come forward, please.
My girlfriend Carly, my sister Jenna, mom Sharon, and my father James.
Congratulations and welcome to the city of Northfield. And who's gonna hold the Bible? Jen? All right, Jen. You got Sandy facing out or down to the center? Please repeat after me, Brendan. I, Brendan O'Brien,
Brendan O'Brien,
do solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the state of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith,
and I will bear true faith,
allegiance to the same,
allegiance to the same,
and to the governments established
and to the government established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state
and in this state,
on the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
justly
justly
perform all the duties
perform all the duties
of patrolman of the city of Northfield, New Jersey,
of patrolman of Northfield, New Jersey,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. First of all, I want to recognize members of our department over here. You are now joining a rather elite, dedicated, and knowledgeable group of men and women who have served Northfield and will continue to serve Northfield faithfully. It is an important task that you're taking. You know, we all know today it's hard to be a police officer. But through time and endurance, I know you both will do well. You are both very young. And that's what I like to see, because our department is relatively young group of men and women. As I said, you are being charged with not only your responsibilities as a police officer for the city of Northfield, but to serve and protect our residents, our community, and our businesses. That's a big task. But I know that you two, and I've seen your qualifications when I discussed this with the chief, you are very well deserving and knowledgeable. So I welcome you, and I know that you're going to be here for many years, and I know you're going to do a great job. And just remember, if I'm the chief, you don't get it. All right. Congratulations.
Hey, welcome. Thank you. Thanks for your service. Welcome.
So happy for you. Yeah, I know. So happy.
Monica and Brendan, would you like to say anything?
No.
Everyone?
First off, I'd like to thank Colin, the police department. I want to thank Mayor Cal and, business woman, as well as the whole entire council. For this opportunity to work in Northfield. I want to thank my mom, my dad, and my whole family, for all the support me to get here. So I want to say thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to say thank you to the city council, the business, and thank you for keep on calling and the rest of the guys in the department. My goal here is to grow and grow in the city of Northfield and serve. This is a great opportunity and, to carry all of it. And that's why I say thank you for the opportunity, and I will invest my ability.
I want to take a few minutes if, the two gentlemen, if you'd like to take some photos with your family, take a couple minutes and then we'll have a brief recess and then we'll reconvene the council meeting. But, this is, it's great that we get a chance to do this every once in a while. It's, doesn't happen often and it's, getting to be routine. And it's wonderful to see some new people come in, and move into this apartment. Thank you.
What we're saying is, that's actually hard, that's gonna work out.
You want to take some more pictures, gentlemen, with the family or friends? Come on.
Yeah, the last, did you ever see the last one I got? No. I look like you.
Because they're not. Like.
Okay.
Yeah, not a total recall.
Yes, it is. Sure, help yourself. Help yourself.
Would be a thing.
Yeah, that is a problem in time. And this looks like, you know, somebody's schedules.
Peter, mommy, we have to just take care of the Peter thing.
You emailed this to them, right? Okay.
Is that the slip line or? Wow. And what's the life expectancy on that? Wow, just for that little thin material.
All done? Oh, I gotta put that away, right?
Could you go to any traffic information? Thank you. Was one time the Boy Scouts was going to do a project, but unfortunately, I think that's Michelle Burnell's. Never came to fruition. I think he didn't realize the undertaking. Yeah, I mean, well, every year they have, at the veteran, at the memorial, they have ones that deceased, but they don't have them. After. Yes, that's correct. Oh, sure, yeah, definitely. But believe it or not, I've had some veterans who don't want their name. They just feel embarrassed.
No, 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 no.
Come here for a second.
Hey, Chris. You remember this year. You want to put another ad? Okay. Anything you want. Okay. Thank you very much. Sure. Oh, cheers.
I thought you were gonna say my truck or something.
Yeah. All right, okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. I'm with it.
I'm gonna get the application. I'll copy you.
You don't call me tomorrow and say,
Chris,
so that's what you started to.
I do.
yes.
I can see that. I just texted you. I just texted you.
All right.
So we well, we have to have the attorney to sign that.
You didn't text me.
Yeah, I did. You didn't get it yet?
Yeah.
Who, Last text I got from you. Okay. It should be coming. I thought that was. I mean, like. Sorry. If it was that same time. It was, yeah.
All right, Mr. President, just real quick, I got about 40 minutes. We need.
Good. 40. We're back. We didn't really. do- Okay. Okay, committee reports, Councilman Lee.
President, I don't have anything for this one because I failed to compile my stats. Sorry about that.
Okay. Councilman Deweese.
I have nothing to report tonight.
Councilwoman Gucci.
Thank you, Mr. President. Municipal Alliance, April 1st, they're having the grand opening of the playground at 6 p.m. immediately followed by a movie in the park. Economic Development Commission, my planning board committee from the Economic Development Commission, our first meeting with the planning board, it went very well. So that's just, we were talking through, trying to make some steps to talk about the master plan. And that's it for me.
Thank you. Councilman Smith.
Thank you, Mr. President. Opening day for Little League, April 15th. There's another coordination meeting with the school on the 30th of March, the third one of those. And other than that, that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilwoman Culpepper.
Thank you, Council President. All I have is, we're planning on Memorial Day events currently for veterans. In the process of gathering a list of all of our veterans here in Northland. Mainland, the next meeting for mainland school is April 27th, following a budget meeting at 5:30. And I also put Mr. Anthony in contact with Joe Giroux from Planet Networks. And they're going to be talking about possibly having some students participate in that career, just a kiosk outside in the hallway, in the main lobby. And for the cultural committee, the flea market is going to be on April 1st, 9 to 12. There's already 25 vendors ready to sell, so come out and help support them.
Thank you. Councilman Notaro.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just to piggyback what the mayor brought up last week in reference to the sober living homes in town. I did reach out to Linwood. I received their ordinance. I emailed both Tom, you and Mary those ordinance, and maybe we could discuss that over the next couple weeks or so. That's all.
Thank you. For my committees, the finance, obviously we have the budget on tonight's work session. We don't have any amendments or changes to it, so we're going to move forward with that. And from the library, we have the resignation of the senior library assistant and the library treasurer, board treasurer also resigned just at the last meeting. Anyone wanting to be on the library board, the mayor, we can try to appoint you as both. And that's all I have in my view. Move on to the further on the work session. Do we have any updates? Ronnie, on the stormwater? No. And we have not heard back from Habitat on the sale of the land. They're still putting their paperwork together for their first step. Is there an update on the food truck ordinance, Councilwoman Gucci?
Yeah, we had our first meeting last week. It was pretty Mary and had a lot of information. So Mary's gonna put all that together, and then we're gonna have our next meeting and work from it.
Thank you. We do not have an update on the electric vehicle station ordinance. Hopefully we'll be able to meet to discuss that over the next month. Yes,
Just real quickly, an item of ongoing business, for the council is currently, your noise ordinance permits, construction and demolition between the hours of 7 a.m. and 10 p.m. And allows, for lack of a better word, landscaping between, 8 a.m. and 9 p.m. Would like to know what the council's, I guess, preliminary sentiment is regarding a golf course exemption. I know we spoke about this. And the proposal that we would propose, to, have council look at is a golf course exemption that would allow them to conduct their activities from 7 a.m. instead of 8 to 9 p.m. And then between essentially Memorial Day and Labor Day, be able to start as early as 6 a.m. on weekends and holidays and 6:30 on non-holidays. And that would start the Saturday before Memorial Day and run through Labor Day. And then we go back to the 7 a to 9 p.m.
I would be okay with that, but maybe a distance between, from residential homes. They would have to stay a certain amount, like, you can't go to the 17th hole, right in the back of, St. Andrews. And-
Yeah,
and-
in our meeting with them, I think with the golf course, that is, I think the idea was those are the holes they sort of have to do first. One, there was a method to the madness in the way that they
Cycle.
maintained the holes. But again, open for discussion and, I can put together an ordinance that would allow a chain. Just need your input, and whether you're even willing to consider it.
They definitely need to start at a certain time. I mean, I can understand how that.
In our meeting with them, they, what happens is they start with first hole and just get out, golfers, and then in the summer, they don't have breaks. So at least based on last year's activity, and I assume since it is a private course, they have a set number of members and greens and player. So what happens is if they don't do the first hole before the golfers get out, they don't have a chance to get back to do that until the whole day is long.
Mhm.
And then it's not the experience they're trying to give. the people.
The concern that I would have, I know that I have had residents reach out to me regarding this, someone who lives along one of those poles, who has a special needs child, who when those machines are underneath, especially on the weekends, because when the machines are outside his window, it disrupts. I mean, we have to think of the residents here too, like,
Yeah.
I mean, Memorial Day weekend, holiday weekends, people tend to sleep in on weekends, and you're gonna be running these devices outside of their windows on weekends when people are looking to sleep in. So I would have concerns about how this impacts the residents along these courses, along these poles where
Yeah,
you're asking for it.
I've spoken to some that didn't have an issue, but I know, I am aware that there was one that I don't know that particular family, but I know that they did have an issue.
What have they been doing? Have they been just starting at an early time? I mean, have they been doing this already, or are they following
They've
the?
been starting before the ordinance permits because they.
That's correct. I mean, under Chief Newman, we've had numerous complaints that went not addressed. I mean, we sent a police officer to ask them to turn it off or go someplace else. And they've on numerous occasions have disregarded, to the extent that they were starting to give citations to them, which were disregarded. So that's the only concern that, I mean, past experience that we've had with them. At least, when Chief Newman was in force.
They can, maybe, wait, are you gonna talk to them again, I guess?
I mean, this is a
Yeah.
council decision. This is,
So-
a proposal or.
If we wanted to talk to them, otherwise.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can.
I mean, they can start their flow out a little further, right? So they could start out further, and then by 8 o'clock, they could probably get into the other holes that are closer.
Well,
You don't
there
have to
was
start
a
at the
madness.
first
I mean, they started at the what The beginning, or the end?
I don't know that we're gonna solve.
No, that's
Yeah,
their
we
issue.
have to mow, but-
Yeah.
So maybe between now and next meeting, we can, reach out to those residents to find out, you know, the ones that we know of, and we'll have this again on the next work session where we can all possibly have some more input in, and then we can contact them.
Do we know if there's any, I don't know the answer to this, is there any type of a baffle, something that could be a noise canceling? Something they can erect alongside homes that might help mitigate that?
Hmm.
Some type of a wall or something?
Trees.
I believe that, I believe there are trees. I'd asked that when we met last spring, or last fall, and there are trees and vegetation that buffer, but not any kind of structure.
I just don't know how we're ever going to
We may not.
resolve when you have residents right there who are impacted by this. They're not going to be happy in any sense with these machines right outside of their window impacting their life.
The only way it would, is if those residences were accepting of, and if not, and
And what happened, they moved, somebody else moved it.
yeah,
We're always gonna have-
then we're having an impact.
I think the best solution is to come up with they need to come up with a better plan of staying away from those houses.
I agree with
Early.
Jonathan.
Okay.
I mean, As I said, there was an issue with the town settlement, and the election being interrupted for a company that someone knows that the city, when the city had to not do it and continue to do it. They set the line in the sand.
If, we'll discuss it, and between now and if it gets, any traction, we will add it to the next agenda. So we'll let you know that, to prepare a resolution if it gets to that point. Okay. Moving on to the grants, I think we have a video going on there. The 2023 budget. As I said, I don't believe we have any reason to amend anything, and read the paper today. Couple statements did. So, do we need to take a vote on this now? No? Okay. That's it. Any objections? Any other questions on the budget? Okay, generator ordinance, which is attached. The one we have attached, there was one change by our engineer,
Zoning officer.
our zoning officer. In item A1. It has not to exceed. He has changed it to 40 kilowatts for residential property and 100 for commercial. Other than that, what put forth by the engineer of the planning board. Looks good to you. Does anyone else have any?
Is that sufficient for someone to
Well, I think we didn't have any.
use?
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like it's,
There's no home tax.
okay, yeah. Yeah, it's a lot, yeah. Okay.
and as everyone knows, they're, probably aware generators are getting placed more and more. And, we didn't have anything on the book, so we want to make sure we have something prepared with setback.
No concern I have is why are they insistent on just not to be at home? Could be the homeowner, like to choose if they want liquid propane or natural gas home.
So
Yeah, the ordinance says natural gas home.
all right. Well, that is that,
Put that available in town. And propane and you have the tank, you have to dump it out to tell it. I think that's the thought behind this, you natural gas instead of heat.
Mhm.
Clearer than propane.
Propane is, main natural gas.
Yeah, I know we've had instances.
I think what he's trying, you just don't want to govern what somebody does. I don't think anybody's going to use diesel or propane. But when there's natural gas there, but I think what Eric's saying is he just doesn't feel a need to govern that part of it.
But they have the ability to switch to liquid propane. Why was it?
I know when we had the instances where we had, some of our residents came in looking for street opening because of a moratorium. One of the suggestions was that they get propane because they couldn't open the street for natural.
Right.
gas, so.
And he would need propane. if
But
he-
they found a way. I'm saying if that was okay for that. you know,
Well, and if he wanted to buy a generator, right, and put a generator in, he wouldn't be able to because he only has propane. So we would be eliminating him from even doing,
Well, they were able to find.
no, I know, but if,
Someone else.
I'm just wondering if perhaps that was an omission and they intended to eliminate oil diffusers.
Mhm.
So I can reach back out to the planning board engineer and clarify that tank liquid propane would be acceptable as well. And then get back to you.
Right.
Is that okay?
Perfect.
I know that, I don't recall any discussion with regards to the type of fuel other than natural gas there.
Okay.
That's something.
That's something.
Yeah, yeah.
I know we're doing. Okay. For the retail sale of cannabis, so we did have we did ask the resident voters to again vote on whether to have it. It was, I believe, at 57%. So I think what we need to do is this time to form a committee to evaluate that. I see
Would be on that thing.
Ms. Bucci raising her hand. And it,
I don't think you want me on that. I think we do. And I'll go with you.
anyone else wants to be on this, on the?
I nominate Brian.
We put it on as a voting question. It's our duty to
Mhm.
discuss it. Make a decision. We kicked the can to this year, so now we need to finalize it. That's our job. So. we need, at least one more volunteer.
Now we need to pick up the can and see if there's any weed in it.
I'll do it, Tom. I'll do it.
Okay.
No, okay.
It's true.
Bucci and Weeds.
It's not.
You can have 4.
We only have, oh, are you?
Brian?
So is it Councilwoman Bucci, Councilman Leeds and Smith? Is that correct?
The three volunteers.
Thank you.
Okay. With that, we'll move to the regular agenda.
They need an obviously for the committee report, right?
Yes, yeah, yeah,
You want this one?
yeah, you can. I guess the things we need to know is both the locations, if what we have currently and what we drafted are proper. The different regulations as far as proximity to different schools, churches and such. I guess the type of license, since we were prohibited everything, but last time we only discussed retail and number of licenses as well.
And I think the voters voted on a specific use.
We actually, yeah, I'm sorry, we only did vote on retail, so,
Mhm.
so really that's the main thing we need to focus. Thank you.
Mhm.
All right, please refer to your agenda now. Approval of the minutes. Councilwoman Carfano, Councilman Notaro. Resolution 77.
We have to open this to the public. I'm
Did I
sorry.
Skip something else?
No, I'm my fault.
No.
Sorry.
okay. I got it right this time.
Yeah.
Regular
I was
meeting.
reading the wrong agenda.
Resolution 77, Councilman Smith. Councilwoman Carfano. 78, Councilman Notaro. And Councilman Leeds. The resolution 79 through 85. Is there anything that anyone would like to have pulled?
I don't necessarily want to pull, but I have those things ready for.
Okay. Then we'll have Councilman DeWeese. And Councilwoman Bucci.
President, I'm abstaining from 82.
Okay. You have the,
I'd like to add 86, 2023, which is on the executive session. We can take a vote right now to add 86, 2023 to the agenda, and include that in the consent agenda, if everybody agreeable to that.
You can explain what it is.
Yeah, is it here?
Yeah, it's an executive session, to discuss, potential shared court with Hamilton.
Voice vote would be okay for that?
Sounds interesting.
okay, can we have a roll call to add that to the agenda?
All in favor of amending the agenda to have executive session, resolution 2023, or discussing possible here. Court with Hamilton, all in favor?
Aye.
Any?
And Mayor, just for the record, this was an issue that came up, either early this week or late last week after the agenda was published, but it wasn't able to be added at the time.
Thank you, Mayor. So the resolutions are 286. Ordinance 5, Councilwoman Bucci. And Councilman Notaro. Ordinance 6, Councilman Leeds. Councilman Smith. Payment needs. Okay, thank you. Yeah. Payment of bill, Councilman DeWeese. And meeting notices, Councilman Bucci. On second on bills will be Councilman Leeds. This time we'll open the meeting to the public. Anyone from the public wishing to speak on any topic, we ask that you please step forward and state your name and address for the record. And there's a 5-minute limit per speaker.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dave Ferrier. I'm a Marine Corps combat veteran. I live at 6326 Mill Road in Egg Harbor Township with my wife and daughter. You're probably asking, well, you live in Egg Harbor Township, why am I here? We are here because we have been harassed by the zoning officers in Egg Harbor Township for having pet pigs. Now, local voters in your township are being bullied and intimidated into getting rid of their beloved family pet potbelly pigs. Specifically, the people behind me, Christine and Joe Sweeney, their daughter Terry, and grandson Brandon. I encourage everyone here
to Google EHT pigs, because every story you find will be about our family and our fight. Mayor Chow, I am sure as the owner of 3 dachshund dogs who were recently saved by local firefighters when your home caught fire in December, you would fight like hell if a uniformed officer showed up unannounced at your house at night with no paperwork and gave you 30 days to get rid of your dogs. Because that is what happened to this family here. Councilwoman Renee, sorry, I don't know the last names here. As a mother of 4, a longtime teacher and recipient of the Governor's Educator of the Year program, I look to you to help educate your fellow council members and zoning officials on the difference between potbelly pigs and swine. Councilman Leeds, as a former investigator and intelligence officer, I am sure your background will come in handy as you investigate this. In case you are not aware that this family is facing, including my own, some of the penalties are fines of not more than $2,000, imprisonment for not more than 90 days, or community service for 90 days. As a military combat veteran while serving our country, I was tasked to protect the rights and liberties of our citizens, but also to understand the value of discipline and structure. Such values include abiding by laws and regulations. Here is how your zoning and other officials have failed in their duties. And we are asking for an immediate and impartial investigation. Number 1, failure to properly maintain records. According to section 215.10, it shall be the duty of the administrative officer to keep a record of all complaints, all violations noted, and a record of any action taken thereon. According to an email from Mary Canesi dated yesterday, no violation notice were issued, so no records exist. Please explain why your zoning officials are unable to provide copies of complaints and violation notices when your own rules mandate those records be kept. Furthermore, if no violation notices were issued, exactly why is this family being told they must get rid of their pet pigs? Number 2, failure to follow city procedures. Section 215-11 enforcement. It shall be the duty of the zoning officer to order in writing the remedy of any conditions found to exist in violation of this chapter. Please explain why Officer Brandon Garofalo did not follow these procedures, specifically to order in writing how to remedy the alleged violations. Number 3, general incompetence. Police Officer Brandon Garofalo told the Sweeney family verbally they have 10 days to remove their pet pigs, then changed his mind and said they can have 30 days. His activity detail report says, spoke to homeowner who was unaware of the ordinance against having pigs on property. Homeowner asked about solution. I told him to go to City Hall and ask them, since the homeowner considers them part of the family. The Sweeney family did exactly that, got the runaround, but finally spoke with their new police chief, who told them he has no idea what they're talking about and pointed them back to your zoning officer, Brandon Garofalo. Please explain why your police department appears unaware of who is responsible for what, and why your own handpicked zoning officer is telling voters to ask you for answers he should have. Please explain how your zoning code mandates 10 days written notice for a resident to remove trash, but not a shred of paperwork appears to be required to forcibly remove someone's beloved pets. A change to your city's zoning ordinance when it comes to potbelly pigs is long overdue, and here are reasons why. According to section 95-17, which is the alleged violation, the zoning regulation, keeping of large or wild animals prohibited. No person shall have or to keep in his possession any horses, cattle, swine, goats, or sheep, or any other large farm or wild animals. Now, this may surprise you. You own a dog larger than 50 pounds, guess what? Due to the vagueness of the code and the arbitrary enforcement of it, it can be argued that you now own a large farm animal and are in violation of this code and must get rid of your dog. However, in section 97-20, no dog or cat or any animal shall be sheltered or kept that is not domesticated and permitted by the state of New Jersey. So in one regulation, you prohibit pigs. but in another, you permit domesticated animals, which pigs are. This is just one example where your zoning code conflicts with itself and is certainly not kept up with the times. According to an email from Mary Finessi dated yesterday, and I quote, unfortunately, the current law does not distinguish a pet pig as being separate from any other animal of the swine species, and therefore you cannot have a pet pig under the current law. Both the law and Mary are saying a pig is a swine and swine is a pig. However, a dog is a canine and so is a wolf. A cat is a feline and so is a tiger. Yet those distinctions permit owning one and not the other. We are simply asking for the same distinction be made for potbelly pet pigs. Owning pet pigs is an example of freedom of expression, specifically freedom of speech. Are you telling the voters of this community that your freedom of expression to own dogs is protected, but our freedom of expression to own pigs is not? Your zoning code prohibiting swine was written in 1974. Potbelly pigs were not introduced to the United States until 1989, so your code could not have taken the ownership of potbelly pigs into account when it was written. The U.S. Department of Agriculture says, we wish to clarify that in most cases, we consider potbelly pigs as pets. It is only considered livestock when these animals are in import-export status. USDA, for all other purposes, consider potbelly pigs to be pet animals because they are not bred and raised in this country for food or fiber purposes. Potbelly pigs are allowed to fly as pets with airlines that allow pets, stay as pets.
Can you start to wrap up?
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Thank you very much. I literally, I appreciate it. Thank you. I'm almost done.
Okay.
They can also be trained as emotional support animals and therapy animals, just like dogs. Finally, here's the action that we are asking to be taken on behalf of this family. Be a certified mail within the next 10 days. Copies of all complaints, and if none exist, a letter stating so. Copies of all alleged zoning violations. A letter outlining the process for appeals and for requesting extensions. A letter suspending all enforcement activities and penalties against not only this family, but any Northfield resident while you review the city's zoning codes that relate to the keeping of potbelly pigs. Mayor Chow, your website says the following. Our employees work hard to provide services to our residents that are second to none. Right now, you are failing to keep that promise to this family. My family and I were happy to stay after if you have any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We're not doing that with demand, Chris.
Migrating animals, I'm here to educate you guys about. Any of you ever tried any? Yeah, that's what you did. Nobody else, you have pets? What kind of pets? I have 3 dogs. 3 dogs, right over, and you have 2 dogs, right?
We do.
3 dogs, that's awesome. So just because your pets are classified as normal does not mean potbelly pigs are not pets. All of my pet pigs, I put them for inhumane conditions and such as my fellows behind me and those as well. So I'm here to educate on how pet pigs can be good for your emotional support and for people that are on the spectrum that deal with ADHD, such as Brantley does over here. These pigs are emotional support. And if you guys are going to threaten this family to take away, just like you guys did to Ryan, not this township, Egg Harbor Township, jail time, it's impossible to take someone's beloved pets away. It's just impossible to do so. So please educate yourself on what type of pigs there are, and Berkshires are the one, and it doesn't matter, to be honest, what breed they are. They're talking about cane horses, they're huge dogs, and Berkshire pigs are huge pigs. And also, many pigs, Eddie, Maryland, who is an emotional support pig. We have extra up in Canada, who's a big Berkshire pig who is loved and rescued. And we all know Rory from the Funny Farm, who does amazing work, with great support for us and on our side with all of this. So I just want you guys, if you have any questions, please ask me or him. And if you guys want to come to my house and view these pigs, please please do so, because I encourage you, just like I encourage the mayor of Egg Harbor Township to come to my house, and I've had board members come to my house and see my pet pig.
And what did they say?
Ray said, this is what the township is making a fuss about, and I said, absolutely, sir. They're making a fuss over my chickens as well, which I have 9 chickens, and we all know this area has farmland, and we are not a working farm, and I say that loosely, because people, especially people here, have a right to what they want to do on their land. Period, without any, like, in my opinion, say about it. When it comes to pets specifically, people can own a goat and be a pet. And then also horses, you're allowed horses on 2 acres, but you can't have a pet pig. It just doesn't make sense.
Do you have any idea, since you study animal husbandry, why
And
animal science, why many municipalities, and I couldn't quote how many in the state of New Jersey have included swine or pigs, and I'm just going to deal with those 2 species, prohibited.
Zoning regulations.
yeah, I'm not on the guy's end. I think there's a lack of education, but I mean, if you got, I don't know. Like, you know, they have dogs too, and they feed, and they're trained in litter boxes, and they have the mentality of 3-year-old children. Pigs are smarter than dogs. Pigs do not attack humans. Dogs bite humans. So, yeah, I mean, it's just outdated. It doesn't make sense. You have a question?
I mean, the ordinance, since it's so old, it could have been associated with like pig farms or something like, you know, yeah, right. So maybe,
A piggery.
right.
My pigs are spayed and neutered, well, the people behind me.
So
So we are not breeding, selling for meat, like, you know, the ex-mayor of Egg Harbor Township, Maria, actually runs a piggery 1.7 miles from their municipal building. But, oh, she's grandfathered in for slaughter and trade of meat, which is unacceptable, unacceptable.
I like pigs.
Just for your own edification, Northfield at one time did have a piggery farm, and that was behind what used to be known, where Crescent Hill is. That used to be a pig farm there.
She breeds pigs for called Idaho pigs, they're Berkshire and Coons, and she breeds them for sale, for meat, for slaughter, for trade. I don't have anything against her personal, but you cannot say that she's grandfathered in and have all these, we're neighbors, Northfield's neighbors, I'm here for neighbors.
Does she have to have a license to do this slaughtering and selling?
I don't want to kill my pigs, these are my pet pigs, and I'm sure the people behind us.
I mean, you made reference to it, and I'm just wondering how she.
And
I just have one quick question. How many pigs are we talking? Are we talking about 10, 15, 2, 3?
Not having-
Yeah. Poor
She's-
pig.
yeah.
And just like, that's my opinion, how much you have,
Yes, these guys.
as long, yeah, these are.
Live inside the house. I know what they're worried about. They're worried about the mud, the mess, the smell. My pigs live inside my house and they're fed inside the house. Like your dogs, your cats.
And pigs. So, yeah, I mean, just like dogs, it doesn't matter how much dogs you have, as long as you're willing to take.
She's
care
at
of them,
7 minutes.
them, you know, my pigs get barriers, their nails get done, likewise with our friend behind here. Pigs are not garbage disposal, they do not eat whatever slop, that is a misconception. Pigs are not dirty. Guess what? Factory farming pigs are made that way because of how Americans consume their pork and treats their pigs. You're welcome.
Pig shed?
Very?
Yeah.
Yeah. Same as Bill. My name is Joe Sweeney. I live at 1206 Church Street. I'm the reason they're here. I don't speak a lot in front of people. I don't want to cause a ruckus. I like to live my life. I have to get home. I have a busy enough lifestyle. I don't need, you know, all the people that, I don't have parties. I don't do, you know, any of that stuff. I just want to go home and take care of my yard, my family, and live a peaceful life. I had spoken to a couple of police officers, just in passing, and asked them if they knew if there were any laws against having potbelly pigs. They said they weren't sure, but they didn't believe there were any. Again, they're pets. They're domesticated pet. I'm asking that you change the code to allow, it is becoming a very, very popular thing now. I have a lot of friends.
Are you requesting specifically Potbelly or any kind of swine?
No,
Well, that would be up to
I
us.
know.
That would be up to us.
Domesticated pig is a pot.
Yeah.
I think we're established.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
just want to make sure that,
I don't want to have some big 1,500-pound pig in my yard or my neighbors or anybody else's yard. You know, that's where the smell starts to come in.
So they're potty trained.
They, just like a dog, they go outside, they pee, they poop, they come in. Yes, you can train them in a litter box like a cat. Our yard is cleaned every day, unless it's pouring outside, of course. The feces matter. We also have 3 Newfoundland dogs. All our dogs and pigs are spayed, neutered. We have a vet that comes to the house regularly to take care of them. They all have their rabies shots. The other, their deworm, the whole 9 yards. There's no chance of any diseases being spread. Which would be the big issue with if you allowed any pigs in there. Because then people would have cages in their backyards. With these gigantic pigs with the mud, the slop, the flies.
Mhm.
Again, just want to keep my pets, that's all.
How big are they? How much do they weigh?
The 2 small ones are between 80 and 100. The 2 large ones are between 100 and 130 pounds,
How tall are those things?
about this big. So my dogs stand this tall.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. There are lots of dogs in my neighborhood, most of which are a lot larger than my kid. They're not allowed to run free. If we're not home, they're either in the house or locked in the backyard. There's no chance of anybody getting, unless you trespass my property in the backyard, there's no chance of getting. My granddaughter's friends look forward to coming to the house, sit in the living room or in the backyard, like pigs. Yes,
Question. So do you have them, are they registered? Like, do they go to the vet?
they go to that, yes. We have a, no, the vet actually comes to our house.
Are they from the?
Yes, our dogs are so large, you can't get them. We don't have a vehicle big enough, they can't climb. The same thing in the pigs. They're,
And I guess if we're not allowed to have them here, then clearly we don't have record of them being. here, Right?
Correct.
well, they would not be registered,
Right.
they are, like I said, they have their rabies shots, all that can be produced. Yeah, just asking the committee to consider changing that code. Or adding to it, that you will allow potbelly pigs. Again, it's becoming a very, very, very,
Tom, you think that's something we could discuss?
Well, we can, and I know that I've been approached by a couple of, I guess, your neighbors that have concerns, so, as we just spoke about as we just spoke about the landscaping, we need to take everybody's,
Right.
everything into account.
again, I've spoken to all my neighbors. I've had these pigs for 2 years.
In 2 years.
And-
Let me tell you, they are our babies. When you see.
Can we have your name and address?
I need. Need my address, 12 Express Street.
I don't dispute that they're your pets.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is that
Yeah,
one of the things that we certainly, our job is to evaluate the whole thing before we change that.
Mhm.
And we'll take both everything that was said here tonight, as well as the neighbors that live near the
right. I understand completely.
pigs that aren't swine.
And that's the thing, there's many, like dogs, there's many classifications of squat, there's many classifications.
So- Obviously, it's a lot for us to take in, so we have to do our homework as well.
Okay,
But that I can assure you that we'll at least do our homework and follow up with you.
okay.
What time, how much
Who
time?
who is that?
Yeah,
We don't get-
we'll follow up as soon as we can find out the information, yeah, as you said.
Should we,
What is your time, what is the timeline for you?
we, the officer came to the house at what, 7:30, 8 o'clock? at night?
7
7 o'clock on a Saturday night in uniform, no paperwork, no documentation. Didn't, when I asked questions, he couldn't answer me, and I'm gonna tell you the whole runaround. I was told to call City Hall.
Yes.
City Hall told me they didn't know what I was talking about, so to the chief of police. I will say the chief of police was very deep. He said that he didn't know that I was figuring out, they were willing to work with us. I had to talk to them.
Say anything about things.
Bill, to the mayor, and or to the chief, and now back to
Well,
the guy who entered.
and to everyone's defense here is in
It's not.
the general public's eye, in mine, a potbelly pig is a swine. So we're learning to the people that don't know, to people that don't know, and I'll put myself in that. You're telling me it's not a swine. In my mind, it's a swine. So until we can evaluate that, I can't say, yes, we're changing the code tonight. We have to evaluate that and figure it out.
Mhm.
We were told there were multiple complaints. 5.
And we got nothing.
When we called to get copies of those complaints, we were told there were no complaints filed.
The compliment of the complaint for all.
So, okay.
Terry.
Yeah, yeah.
And I talked to Terry on the
Yes.
phone. Terry knows why the answer to the request was no violations exist, because they didn't get a ticket.
No, I'm saying, okay,
So what was said was, we were told no violations existed, how could that be? Because you didn't get a ticket, a violation is a ticket, and I talked to Terry about that when we didn't understand her records request.
I'm not asking about a violation. I'm asking about. okay, I'm
Complaint.
sorry.
He's
I'm
asking about the
asking
complaint.
Complaint that was filed. Okay. But wouldn't, if I call you and complain about the trash in my neighbor's yard, don't you have to write that down or put that in a document and say? Okay,
That is the record that was produced for Terry, and Terry received a copy of that.
okay.
So we took it off. It's a legitimate complaint, what is it, major, meeting, and complaint?
Complaint was gonna be a big.
You can't talk, but you can't talk.
I'm just saying if we. We
You
understand how.
can't.
One person-
One person may speak at a time.
Yeah, that's,
You had your time,
so
And
you,
you guys are.
man, you had your time.
The code says no pigs. He was just doing his job.
Please,
you're getting mad. You're getting mad.
we're trying to.
We're trying to help you.
I don't understand how all that stuff works. The only thing I understand is if I call the police department and file a complaint, there should be documentation that I called and filed a complaint, correct?
Not necessarily,
Or maybe,
Why not necessarily?
because this was not a filed complaint, sir. This was somebody who came in person to City Hall and made a complaint and left. You can be anonymous and make a complaint. We still have to look into it.
If I can ride up down the street, file complaints and fill up our officer's time.
Yes.
It's happened.
Yeah, you can. You can.
I'm sorry, but that,
Okay.
you know, the people do that.
It doesn't have to be a legitimate complaint.
The officer was just doing his job because the code does say that. And the council has explained to you that they're going to evaluate your
Yes.
concerns and your request that they consider that this is different than what the code says. But there wasn't anybody specifically going after your family. It was just what the code said. And he was just doing his job.
And it will be resolved between now and the next council.
That's what I was going to get on that question.
Yeah.
So the next council meeting will come to,
That'll be the date, by then.
yeah,
So that'll be the last day that it'll.
will we be notified?
Yes. Yeah, obviously you need to be because either you're in violation or we're working on changing the code. Those are our two options.
That said, you should appear at the next meeting.
Oh,
You
absolutely.
May not be noticed of anything, because nothing may happen from a
Between now and
legal
then.
perspective
Right.
between now and then. But if you want an update, by all means, attend the next.
Absolutely.
In order to do that takes. Changing
I think we
code takes
do.
multiple meetings too.
Nobody threatened to take them.
Yeah.
That's the way.
No, we were told we had 30 minutes.
Right.
That's
I
not.
like. Yeah, I don't, we're changing. Well.
We
Uh,
we were told we had 30 days to get rid of it.
no, you,
I'm sorry, we were told we had 30 days to get rid of them. This
Or
is-
you would get a ticket.
This is not the body that enforces.
Oh, I understand that.
Ordinance.
What I'm gonna ask is, the 30 days is coming up. Do I need to remove them from the property? Or do I leave them there in case the officer comes?
You know, my suggestion, Ms. Sweeney, is that, call up Chief, tomorrow, Chief, Collin, and
Request
see
an
if you can
extension.
speak with the code enforcement. See if you can get, since now that you've had an opportunity to speak before city council, if there's a possibility, which is in his eyes, to get an extension.
Okay.
And so, because you've been told by the council president that hopefully by our next city council meeting, we should have some kind of answer for you.
What's the date that you have? That you?
We don't know.
Well, all right, well, we will work with you to, as I said, try and resolve this.
Right.
This is new information.
And that's what I'm sure none of you know the difference,
Yeah.
of any of, we're not farmers.
So,
I'm learning a lot about it. I didn't know anything about
the
pot.
last pet pig I knew was on.
I didn't know anything about pot-bellied pigs until we got. And I've been educating myself ever since. And there's a lot, they are very, very intelligent animals. They will make your balls dumb, believe it or not. Yeah, they like to cuddle, they love being petted, belly rubbed. Thank you,
Thank you.
thank you for your time, thanks.
Is there anyone?
Thank you.
In Zoom that
Yes.
would like to speak?
Yes, there is.
Whoever's in Zoom, and you're just the phone number, so I don't know how to address you. And
Hello,
there we go. Sir, could you please state your name and address?
can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Barely.
Can you please state your name and address?
Can you turn up? Okay, I'll just start speaking. My name's Chuck Valdez. I'm a friend of the Farriers and also the Sweeneys. I'm an independent land use, zoning and real estate consultant, and I'm also a former government official and economic development director for a city in Florida. And I'm very, very familiar with land use codes and zoning on a national basis because I've represented companies that you're familiar with, such as Blue Cross Blue Shield, RBC Dane Rauscher, and a few other things, and companies that you're aware of in use as Adam and Eve stores. And I've read your code regarding the violation, and the violation is classifying, first off, it's from the 1970s. Secondly, the violation is classifying all these animals as farmed and wild animals. And if you look at the legal definition of farm animals and wild animals, pot-bellied pigs do not meet that legal description. Also, if your argument has to do with what is a farm animal, dogs are also farm animals called farm dogs. Border Collie is a farm dog. If you're familiar with farm cats, barn cats are farm cats and bred for the purposes of cleaning up and destroying rodents. And if you're talking about food source, cats are also a food source in Portugal and Spanish cities. Dogs are a food source in Vietnam, China, some areas of the United States. So the intention of the violation that was quoted was farm use, and farm use is a commercial use, a use associated with the breeding, slaughter, and food source. And these people are not in violation of that. And as Mr. Verrier mentioned, pot-bellied pigs were bred for domestic purposes, and they are considered a mini pig if they're under 200 pounds. And swine can go up to 700 pounds in farm animals. And so if you want to be fair and you want to be just, I don't think the gentleman who says his classification of swine is is equivalent to a legal classification and the intention of the code. So my request is that you treat everyone fairly. And if you want to pursue these people under the intentions of the code, you need to get rid of all your large cats that are over 10 pounds. And you also need to get rid of all your large dogs over 50 pounds. And you do not have the right to supersede their rights over a neighbor's complaint. Thank you.
For the record.
Hello?
Yes, sir. Can we get your address? No?
Okay, you wanted me to unmute my microphone?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
He is unmuted.
We can hear you. We just wanted to get your address for the record.
And they,
7724 Bent Hill Court, Wake Forest, North Carolina, 27587.
Thank you.
Any response? Because I didn't hear any response. I was talking a lot, but I'd like to hear some response.
Well, if you were listening prior, this is, again, new information to us. You quoted a lot of things and certainly, well, I'm not qualified to make those evaluations without doing my due diligence. I don't know if anyone else on council is prepared to speak to this. No. So as mentioned prior to your 5 minutes, we're going to look into this to determine whether our code is appropriate.
Well, okay. I've done this for 22 years. I've been a court-appointed expert in multiple states. I've been a government official, and I understand how it reads. I've read uses codes throughout the United States through various reasons, and the intention of your code, in which they're saying it's violation, is to prohibit farm and wild animals. Okay, so it's a pretty clear interpretation of what the intent is. So I would ask you to understand what the intent is, because as a government official myself, I've helped enforce codes, and you do so with intent. And this would not be, and it's not right. I mean, it's not right to handle somebody else's complaint, because I can complain about y'all's dogs. I can complain about your cats. I can do all the other things. You have just as many rights as we do. And the First Amendment protects freedom of speech, If you want to make a representation of animal cruelty or protecting livestock and you want to have a pig, you do have that right. And enforcement is typically done because something is a nuisance, and you can't validate nuisance anyway. So you have a lot of things going against you in your enforcement, and you didn't provide written documentation. You did not go through the process to serve these people and harass these people and harass their grandson. And I'll be happy to continue to consult and get involved in this as long as they need me to, and get others involved in this. But just asking for fair and equitable treatment.
Thank you. And that's exactly what we said we were doing. That's what we're,
Okay.
that's our intention as well.
And I also, being a government official myself in another state, do understand that citizens do have a right to public filings and public requests. And I have a hard time believing that there's no documentation that lady mentioned that these people cannot have access to. And if that's the case, I want in writing.
There was
In writing,
documentation. and
in
it was
writing.
given to- Sir,
Okay.
we have.
In writing, she needs to tell us what she will not give to the public, because she's pretty adamant. So I'd like to see in writing what she's not willing to provide to the public. And we could review that amongst our council as well.
They got the cat.
Yeah, I believe everything we have in writing was forwarded in writing. So
Okay.
We don't
We're
have-
probably
we
going to
don't
ask for
have
more
anything-
information.
There was no violation issued, so there is nothing in writing of a violation. It doesn't exist. None was generated.
Okay. So are you guys accepting of the behavior that was taken to harass this family at 7 p.m. on a Saturday with no written violation? Is that what you guys all on council endorse?
Sir, thank you. Thank you. Yes. Well, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. We look forward to hearing from you.
So let me just intervene for a second. You seem very uptight. So here. I get it. I get it. Let me just explain to you. We have to take all this in, right? Process it. We can't make a decision on changing anything tonight. It took, I don't know, 3-4 months to change a fire pit ordinance. So it's, before last meeting, we couldn't burn a fire in Northfield. So some things are antiquated and we know that. And
And the chief of police is outside speaking.
He's
with your
speaking
friend
with the-
now.
right.
What more do you want us to do? Don't focus on us. We don't enforce the regulations. Okay.
well, we do.
Thank you.
You're not even recognized.
Thank you for your assistance. Is there anyone else from the public wishing to speak at this time? Is there anyone else in Zoom?
Chuck didn't lower his hand, but I don't know if you're going to call on him again.
Well, he already spoke twice. Anyone else in Zoom?
Anyone else in Zoom wish to speak, please raise your hand.
Just Chuck.
Okay. Chuck, you've already spoken and we don't have any more that we can input. The chief of police is speaking with the persons about their pigs and we already guaranteed that we'll be fair as we can. With that,
I just got a question. Mr.
yes, Mayor.
Sanders, Councilor, if we should change it, do we have to go to the planning board to give them an opportunity to address that part?
I don't think it's in the land use section.
Okay, I just want to make sure on,
It's not.
I don't think.
okay, she's, Madam Clerk says no, it's not, so, okay. All right, I just want to make sure.
but it takes
Definitely needs to
multiple
be
meetings
looked
to
at.
approve.
There's some other animals in there that are questionable as well.
In the existing ordinance?
Yeah.
Guinea pigs?
Guinea pigs. Hamsters. Yeah. I had a hamster.
Oh, my God. Just
Thank you.
Like the swine?
Monkey.
It's guinea swine.
The guinea pig is swine, but the potbelly pig is not, correct?
Well, yeah, now, we look.
If guinea pig is swine, you're saying that, and it's a yes or no, answer, that a potbelly pig is not swine?
You guys are looking at each other today. These are real people. Real emotion.
Nobody's.
I don't think we're taking it like.
You're taking a negative approach to us and we don't understand why. See, I think that's the problem. I think that's the problem. What you're saying right now is not helping your case.
Okay,
like this.
Yeah,
thank you.
I think we established that, though. We did say that we would.
That's, yeah, I don't think we're not getting anywhere. I mean, this is just going in circles. With that, the public session is now closed. May I have a motion to adjourn the work session?
Motion?
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Let me know when you're all ready.
Good.
Okay.
Good evening, this is the regular meeting for Northfield City Council. March 21st of 2023.
Thanks, Mark.
Meeting was properly advertised in Public Law 1975, Chapter 331, in the Press of Atlantic City. My mic wasn't muted.
On January 7th of this year. May I have a flag salute led by Mayor Chow, please?
Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it comes, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Ladies and gentlemen, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support. As we begin this meeting, help us engage in meaningful discussion, allow us to grow closer as a group, and nurture the bonds of our communities and constituents that we serve. Thank you. Please be seated.
I don't know.
Can you open the doors, please? Yeah.
Roll call. Mrs. Bucci?
Here.
Mrs. Carfano?
Here.
Mr. Deweese?
Here.
Mr. Leeds?
Here.
Mr. Notaro?
Here.
Mr. Smith?
Here.
Mr. Palestina?
Here.
Mr. Chow?
Here.
Mr. President?
Thank you. May I have a motion for approval of the minutes?
I'd like to motion to approve the minutes from March 2nd, 2023 and March 7th, 2023. Oh, they were on file with the clerk's office and distributed among council.
Dave? Oh, second. Boy, I was so caught up on helping out here. I forgot that.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Mayor Chow, your report.
Thank you, Mr. President and members of the council. Just for your own edification, a guinea pig is not a pig, it's a rodent. And a swine or pig belongs to a different classification based on the hoofs of the foot itself. So they are completely animals in that respect. They may be related, but they're not the same animal. Having said that, I just want to announce that Mr. Ken Mosca, who has served for many years as the Atlantic City Electric liaison, has been replaced. He has tendered his resignation. For those of you who don't know Mr. Mosca in his capacity with the Atlantic City Electric, he served as I said, the liaison that represented the needs and services that our constituents ask, emergency services, as well as other concerns that the community as well as city council expressed. So we wish him the best of luck. They said he resigned just most recently. He's moving in or moving on. We do have another gentleman has already taken his place, Mr. Bert Lopez, who I know personally and has done a very good job working with the Atlantic Electric. I just want to remind everyone that there will be a ribbon cutting for the Morgan Stanley this Thursday. At 1 o'clock, there will be a walkthrough for the building for anyone who wishes to come and see what the building looks like. And at 2 o'clock, everyone's invited for the ribbon cutting. I would ask, and we don't know how many people will show up, but if the parking lot gets a little overcrowded, we would ask, and they did receive permission that people could park across the street where the Republic Bank is in that area there from Gerwitz has given permission. We will have a police station there to assist the traffic flow over there because, as you know, that's a pretty dangerous area, especially when we have a lot of people coming. I'm just reading my notes here. The municipal court will be having their meeting on virtual on May the 3rd, as well as August the 9th in the afternoon. It'll be a virtual meeting. So anyone who's interested in attending, it is during the day. Obviously, I know a lot of you can't make it because you're working, but I do plan to attend that. As Council President pointed out, we do now have a vacancy, one vacancy on the library board. Anyone who's interested, please submit your resume to the city clerk, and then I'll be able to review it, and then hopefully we'll come up with someone for a replacement itself. And That's it. Oh, one other thing. I spoke to Council President today. As you know, we received a letter of interest to all the municipalities if we're interested in a city or county, Atlantic County Health Insurance Fund or facility, or excuse me, program. As you know, the governor had kicked a lot of an increase to all the municipalities. At this time, there is no need for a resolution or even a vote. I did call up the county and let them know that we are interested if it's going to save us some money and provide us good coverage and for our employees. So we'll see what comes forth from that in respect. Okay. Anybody have any questions for my report?
Mayor, with the sport meeting on May 3rd?
Yes, sir.
What time for that?
3 o'clock, 3 p.m.
Is there a link?
They have not sent that to me yet.
Could I ask that you forward that? to me
Absolutely,
When you receive it?
absolutely.
Thank you very much.
And also the other one on August the 9th will be the same time, but also will be virtual.
Thank you, Mayor. Engineers report. Mr. Nassar. Okay. So they're evaluating another way of doing it through the pipe, grinding it out.
Chair. Well, are you going to show us the material that line?
Okay. That's what it's supposed to look like.
Very doable. Minimum. And you know, smooth line, no, even if you have.
Does that save the existing pipe and then you can re-slip line it later at another, in 50 years from now? No, I know that, but that'll save the pipe, right? And then in 50 years, can you do it again? The thickness, yeah, it keeps getting thinner and thinner as you, how many times can you?
The next 50 years of pipe would be, this will give the pipe the stability, the strength. And this is very strong, I can tell you. 200 plus pounds.
Can you walk on it for us?
Any other questions for Mr. Nassar? Okay. Okay, with that, we will now open this meeting to the public. Anyone from the public wishing to speak on any topic? We ask that you please step forward, state your name and address for the record. And observe 5-minute limit per speaker. Is there anyone in Zoom wishing to speak?
If so, please raise your hand.
No.
Anyone in council chambers? Seeing no one, the public session is now closed. May I have a motion for resolution 77A, our 2023 budget?
I'll make the necessary motion to introduce resolution 77A 2023.
Second.
Resolution 77A is the introduction of the 2023 budget. This is the introduction. There will be no public input this evening. The budget synopsis will be published in the Press of Atlantic City on March 25th of 2023. The matter will be taken up for a second reading. There will be a public hearing, after which it will be considered for final adoption at 7 PM on April 18th of this year.
Thank you. Roll call.
Mrs. Bucci?
Yes.
Mrs. Carfano?
Yes.
Mr. Deweese?
Yes.
Mr. Leeds?
Yes.
Mr. Notaro?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Palestina?
Yes.
Motion carries for the introduction of Resolution 77A of 2023.
May I have a motion for resolution 78?
I'd like to make the necessary motion to amend resolution 78, 2023. Is that what?
You're just motioning the resolution.
Oh, just motioning it. Okay, to adopt.
Yes.
To motion, oh, I'm sorry. I'd like to make the necessary motion to adopt resolution 78, 2023.
Yeah, this resolution is adopting is amending ordinance 3 because it didn't get published correctly by the press. So,
All right, yeah.
no, that's not what this one was?
This is the sign.
Oh, the sign ordinance that we're correcting.
So the sign ordinance was originally introduced. After introduction, it was referred to the planning board on the initial time. As a result of some conversations and meetings with the planning board, there were some revisions made to ordinance 3, which are attached to resolution 78. This just kind of clarifies the nature and extent of the changes in an underlying format. And because of the voluminous changes, we think we need to amend it by resolution, refer it back to the planning board, assuming they don't have a problem with it, which I don't think they will at this point. It'll come back to us for public hearing and final consideration on May 7th.
Any other comments on resolution 78? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Bucci?
Yes.
Mrs. Carfano?
Yes.
Mr. Deweese?
Yes.
Mr. Leeds?
Yeah.
Mr. Notaro?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yeah.
Mr. Palestina?
Yes.
Motion carries for the adoption of Resolution 78 of 2023.
All matter considered listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine in nature, and having been reviewed by council will be enacted by one motion. Any item may be removed from the consent agenda at the request of any council member, and if so removed, will be treated as a separate matter. Any items requiring expenditure are supported by a certificate of availability of funds. There's an executive session of council and will be at the end of the meeting. We will come back into public session to make comment for the record after the executive session has concluded. Any vote made on subjects discussed will be made in public. May I have a motion for to vote by consent agenda 79 through 86, please?
I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolution 79, 2023 through 86, 2023 by consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? May I have a motion?
I'd like to make
To
a
adopt the
motion to
consent
adopt
agenda.
Consent agenda for resolution 79, 2023 through 86, 2023.
Second.
Roll call?
Mrs. Bucci?
Yes.
Mrs. Carfano?
Yes.
Mr. Deweese?
Yes.
Mr. Leeds?
Yes, with an abstention of 84-2023.
Noted. Mr. Notaro?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes, but I also like to note my abstention from 82-2020.
Noted. And Mr. Palestina?
Yes.
Motion carries for the adoption of the consent agenda with extensions noted.
May I have a motion I'm sorry. I have a motion for ordinance 5-2023.
be read. To adopt, sorry, I would move to adopt ordinance 5-2023 to be read by title.
Second?
Mr. Notaro, is that you?
Yes.
Thank you.
Ordinance 5 of 2023 is an ordinance repealing and replacing ordinance 4 of 2023, which was the calendar year ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank. And that's pursuant to NJSA 48:4-4514. This is the second reading. There will be a public hearing after which the matter will be considered for final adoption. The ordinance is presently posted in full in the lobby of City Hall as well as on the municipal website. Since introduction, any member of the public who asked for a copy of the ordinance would have been provided with one free of charge in the office of the municipal clerk. If approved this evening, it will be published a final time in the Press of Atlantic City on March 25th.
Roll call, please. Oh, public hearing? Okay. At this time, we'll open the meeting to the public for ordinance 5-2023 and this ordinance only. We ask you please step forward, state your name and address for the record. And if there's anyone in Zoom wishing to speak, please raise your hand. Seeing no one, public session is now closed for ordinance 5-2023. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Bucci,
Yes.
Mrs. Carfano,
Yes.
Mr. Deweese,
Yes.
Mr. Leeds,
Yes.
Mr. Notaro.
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Palestina.
Yes.
Motion carries for the adoption of ordinance 5 of 2023.
Okay, ordinance 6-2023. May I please have a motion?
I make the necessary motion to adopt ordinance 6/2023. By title only.
Second.
Ordinance 6 of 2023 is an ordinance appropriating $100,000 from the Capital Improvement Fund for the roof replacement project for the city, for Northfield City Hall in the city of Northfield, County of Atlantic, State of New Jersey. This is the second reading. There will be a public hearing after which the matter will be considered for final adoption. Since introduction, this ordinance has been posted in the lobby of City Hall as well as on the municipal website. Any member of the public who requested a copy of the ordinance would have been provided with one free of charge in the office of the municipal clerk. And if approved this evening, this ordinance will also be published a final time in the Press of Atlantic City on March 25th.
The public session for ordinance 6-2023 is now open. Anyone wishing to speak on ordinance 6-2023, we ask that you please step forward and state your name and address for the record. And if there is anyone in Zoom, please raise your hand. Any comments? Roll call. Oh, but first, public hearing is now closed on ordinance 6. Roll call.
Mrs. Bucci?
Yes.
Mrs. Carfano?
Yes.
Mr. Deweese?
Yes.
Mr. Leeds?
Yes.
Mr. Notaro?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Palestina?
Yes,
Motion carries for the adoption of ordinance 6.
may I have a motion for payment of the bills?
I can make a motion, the payment of bills of $188,681.28.
Second.
And a roll call.
Mrs. Bucci?
Yes.
Mrs. Carfano?
Yes.
Mr. Deweese?
Yes.
Mr. Leeds?
Yes.
Mr. Notaro?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Palestina?
Yes.
Motion carries for payment of bills.
Meeting notices?
Next city council meeting is April 4th at 6 p.m. Work session, regular session immediately following.
And now we will go into executive session.
Resolution 86 of 2023 is an executive session not open to the public in accordance with the provisions of the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, which is NJSA 10:4-12B7. In this case specifically with regard to contract negotiations and matters covered under the attorney-client privilege. When the executive session begins, I will be pausing the audio and video portions of the Zoom component of this meeting. Anyone here in city council chambers in public would be asked to excuse themselves from the meeting. Council will remain in council chambers for the duration of their discussion. We are required to set forth as much information as possible about the subject matter to be discussed, as well as provide for the public the amount of time that they can expect to elapse before the non-public minutes will be disclosed. And I will defer to the solicitor for comment. At the conclusion of the executive session, the audio and video portion of Zoom will be resumed and the doors to City Hall, to the council chambers will be opened and the public will be welcomed back in for the solicitor's comment for the record.
Thank you, Mary. As authorized by Resolution 86, 2023, the City Council for the City of Northfield will enter into an executive session not open to the general public in accordance with the provisions of the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act. Subject matter to be discussed is contractual negotiation pertaining to a potential joint board agreement with the town of Hamilton. And those matters do require attorney-client privilege. Council will keep minutes of the executive session as required by law, which will be approved by the council and made available for public inspection when required and permitted by law. At this time, it is unknown how long the minutes will take to be released. It's not anticipated that the council is going to take any official action tonight on this issue, but we will return to council chambers for a statement for the record at the conclusion of the executive session.
Hang on 1 second.
Thank you. The Council for the City of Northfield concluded its executive session authorized by Resolution 86, 2003. Subject matter discussed were contractual negotiations or potential contractual negotiations.
I'm sorry, for silver, sorry. Sorry, go ahead, you're good.
Potential contractual negotiations pertaining to a potential joint court with the town of Hamilton and matters that require attorney-client privilege. Minutes were kept of the executive session as required by law. No official action is being taken tonight, and those minutes will be released when permitted and available by law.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Aye. Any opposed?